YouTube. What a horrible day it is out there. It's a nice day in here. Maybe next time I speak to you it'll be all daffodilly and sunny and nice. Here's hoping. This week in Ambridge was one of those surreal weeks when you really hope no one wanders past the radio and says, "So what's happening?" Well, Philip says he can't employ Ed because Gavin might be going out with Emma, and Liam's padlocked Linda to the pub, only it's not Linda. It's a waxwork from the stately home that man fell off of. Look, I can't really explain, just shh. But let us begin at the beginning, which took place at Linda's Stinky Rebellion meeting in the shop. I'm still not convinced by Jazza being part of it. The only name you could call a pub that would stop Jazza going to it would be the Culloden Arms. He generally only does things for beer or sex, and this seems to actively prevent him from having beer. And he doesn't fancy Lindy Bottom, but I suppose he might give Tracy a go on the sex front. No matter though, he is oddly committed to it. So, discounting Tracy's near psychopathic ideas for revenge on the Bat Ambridge, let's glue people's teeth together, Linda. Linda decided to chain herself to the pub sign, which has not been taken down. So the stupid thing is in effect still called the Bull. It was the oddest protest I have ever come across. Firstly, people were hooting at her in sympathy. This is impressive because they had to be able to read the words, "The bull is a bull, not a bee," on her sign. Not only does this sound like it was written by Dr. Seuss, the cars sounded as if they were hurtling around Silverstone, which means the speed awareness campaign was a sack of shite. And how long would they have to read it? Or was the sign absolutely massive? Was it draped over St. Stephen's or something? Even Ben stopped for a chat with Emmelinda Pankhurst outside the Bull before he announced he was off to the shop to buy more flour and butter for Hootie. Floury butter. She loves it. So not only were people who hadn't really expressed much interest one way or the other in what the pub was called were falling over themselves to bring Linda hot drinks and food rather than just stepping over her and saying, "Oh, go home, you massive attention seeker," but even the staff of the pub she was picketing were bringing her food. I say it was Linda's decision. The fact is, Robert Snell was the secret mastermind behind this campaign. It meant he could renew his Babe Station subscription and sit by the fire at home, eating a KFC party bucket. The only drawback was every couple of hours he had to pop up to the pub to collect his shiwi full of urine, but it was a small price to pay for a bit of peace. In a moment of sanity, Ed Grundy pointed out to Jazza that if everyone boycotted the pub, then it will go bankrupt and people will lose their jobs, including Wayne. And what would happen to Wayne's imaginary girlfriend, Beverly Drains, then? I told you it was one of those weeks. And then the pub would be taken over by a hideous chain that would paint everything sage green and stick oars and wheelbarrows on the walls. And although all Wayne can make is sandwiches, it's still better than that stupid pub food that's 3 enormous chips the size of house bricks, served on a slate with a Stilton and pomegranate burger. No one's thought this through, have they? Linda herself was being completely unbearable and comparing herself to Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg does not poo in a jam jar, Linda. Jazza himself wasn't having much less of a surrealistic week than everyone else, as it was revealed that he has made a sort of den in the hydroponic fish tank. He says it's warm. He's got beer in there and nibbles, although he has to be a bit quick with the nibbles before they crawl off. And he seems to be very happy, presumably developing gills and mutating slowly. Johnny is not developing a steroid addiction. He is going to the gym endlessly in the hope that he will make one massive muscle on his head, which will hide the fact he's losing his hair. St. Frederick of Lower Loxley discovered he was taking hair growth pills. Actually, Alistair prescribed them for the Monties, so any day now Johnny will not only have shiny, luxuriant hair, but his lactation will go through the roof. Now that'll be a real USP for the Bridge Farm Dairy, Helen. Made from organic milk, fresh from the moobs of a Lancastrian farmhand. Isn't diversification brilliant? Gavin and Emma were the pub's only customers this week until Ed just happened to pop up, having disguised himself as a packet of pork scratchings to spy on them. They weren't really on a date, anyway, unless you think talking about cribbage and giggling annoyingly is one, and in that case you live in Coronation Street in the 1950s. The saga of the fat horse continues. Now, I am no psychologist, but I would suggest there's a fair bit of projection going on from Lillian about the fact that her horses can't get out of their stable without the fire brigade coming to take the wall out, and her dog's now so fat it's taller lying down. Ruby's not overweight, she's buxom, said Lillian hotly, and anyway Justin likes her like that. It gives him something to hang on to, and she's had her lead cut on the bias, so it's more flattering. Shula and Yakult, because they are both joyless twats are waging a calorie war against the podgy pets of Ambridge, including Hilary Noakes's pet bird. I had heard that Hilary liked a cockatoo. Then there was another instance of this weird thing that keeps happening. We were told that Lillian, like a small pastel pink Viola battleship, was all braced to go and have it out with Yakult. I was thrilled at the prospect of hearing Yakult dismantle Lillian and tell her with implacable Scandinavian bleakness that her horses were both now thoroughbred packs of treks. But not only did we not hear it, Lillian said to Shula, "Oh, actually it's fine, and I completely understand, and I've signed up for a weight loss clinic." Although I would pay to see Lillian trotting round on a lingerie with Yakult shouting, "Move your arse, fatty," I cannot tell you how disappointed this has made me. This is the thing that keeps happening. It's like playing tennis with someone who does a terrific serve, you get really excited and wallop it back, and then they just do a drop shot into the net, wander off and stare into space. It's plot teasing. That's what it is. Josh, Brookfield's one-man crime wave, is still moping around the farm, hoping that if he cleans up enough shit he might be out of it himself. He lent his car to Ben and told him to take care of it. Ben immediately filled it with sheepdogs, takeaway, Rory, and a made-up friend called Naz, who I presume we're supposed to believe is Ben's one ethnic friend. But I bet you any money Naz is short for nasturtium. Krusty cheerfully suggested to Ed that he got a job with Philip. Back off, Krusty. Philip doesn't come to your work and teach you how to get the athlete's foot powder out of a flip-flop thong. And finally, a sad storyline for the character we love to hate. Or hate to hate. Or just hate. Kate trusted her own body to the extent that she couldn't tell the difference between pregnancy and the menopause. Luckily, Yakult had insisted she took a test. "Kate, I really think you should do one," he said. A thought we've all had at some point. Next week she'll announce she has Lyme disease before realising it's hiccups. The end. Thank you for listening. Have a lovely week. I do hope it gets better for all of us on every front. That's all I can say, really. Bye-bye.